For number 3, it tells me to find the missing side. It also tells me that S is 10. So first I'm going to put 10 here so I can see it. It's asking me to basically solve for T and to solve for R. So if I know that this angle is congruent to itself by the reflexive property, then I know for sure that this small triangle has two angles that are congruent to this large triangle. So these triangles are similar by angle-angle similarity. Then I can line everything up, and I know that this side corresponds to this side because they're both going to be between the right angle and the not marked angle, right angle, and not marked angle. So those two have to go together. Then, let me grab some highlighters. I can find my other corresponding sides. So if I know that this side right here is 8, this whole long side needs to be 8 plus T. T only represents this spot right here. And if this had been 4, then we would know that the whole length would be 12. So we're adding those together. Then the last thing is to do, I've got this side, which they gave me is 10. That whole side, we don't know what R is, but if we add those together, we'll get that whole length. So this needs to be 10 plus R. Now, in order to set up the proportion correctly and solve, I need to be using just numbers for one set. So 6 over 24 needs to be used in order to solve for T. And once I solve for T, I could use that again, or I could use 6 and 24 for my green side. So I'll start by solving for T. So 6 over 24 equals, again, I did small over big equals small over big. So if I highlighted a shorter amount for yellow first, and then, so that means that must be my smaller triangle, this must be part of the bigger triangle, and then small over big. Then from there, I need to cross multiply. 8 times 24 gives me 192 equals 6 times 8 plus T. 6 times 8 is 48, and 6 times T is 6T. So again, you need to remember to distribute that 6 in. A lot of people want to skip a step and say, oh, well, this is going to be 48 plus T. But it's not, because you need to remember to distribute. So I always write that step down. Now I will subtract 48 from both sides. So minus 48, minus 48. I'm going to continue this down here so I've got room to write my answer. 144 equals 6 times T divided by 6, and T equals 24. If you had gotten, I think 36, no, I think if you had gotten 32, then you had set this whole thing as your variable as T instead of just this little spot. So if you had solved this whole thing to be 32, to solve for T, you need to then subtract 8, which will give you 24. Now, I need to set up another proportion for my green side that's highlighted. I'm going to use 6 and 24 again. So 6 over 24, small over big equals small over big. Now I'll cross multiply. 24 times 10 is 240 equals 6 times 10 plus R. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times R is 6R. There we go. So now we can do 240 minus 60 gives me 180. So I'll subtract 60, and 180, sorry, we're going over here now, equals 6R. Now I'll divide both sides by 6, and R equals 30. If you had gotten 40, then you had set this whole thing equal to R. And if you had gotten 40, then you would need to subtract that 10 that we know about to find this piece right here to be 30.